All right, here we go. Well, all right, that was an experience. I am talking specifically about the Southside Irish Parade. That is why I am dressed in this fantastic Blackhawks issued St. Patrick's Day garb. And you know what? I'm a Southsider. Grew up, born and raised in Palos Hills, which I know technically is not the South Side, Southwest side suburbs, but spent a lot of time in Garfield Ridge, a lot of time in Pilsen when I was a real, not Pilsen, Little Village when I was a little kid, which that is also not the South, it's South Side-ish, but it's also, Southwest side. But a lot of friends growing up all went to like Marist High School or Mother McCauley High School. That is the South Side. The Southside Irish kind of vibe. And, over the years growing up, you go to the Southside Irish Parade because your friends are going to it and you wanted to check it out. And it became like a rite of passage, like you grow up and St. Patrick's Day, whether you're 18, whether you're 21 or not, doesn't really matter. Back in the day, the Southside Irish Parade was a parade that you would be able to find a drink of your choice. I remember parking on like 111th, like a mile away, because that's how many people would go to this parade. And you would just kind of go up and down the blocks, getting your way over to Western Avenue. And yeah, you would have to go to the bathroom. And if you were a nice lad, as they would say, you would pay somebody money to use the porta potty in front of their house. Or if you wanted to pay like top dollar, and this is, 15, 20 years ago, so paying somebody like $20 to use their bathroom in their house to poop or something, that was a thing. And you would pay money, or you get money on they would sell beers on the way, and you buy a beer, and nobody was carding anybody. You would go by. I remember one house, and it was a donation. They couldn't legally sell you a beer because they didn't want a cop to come and say you're, illegally selling A, beer, B, beer to minors. But they would have the beer out, and they say, we're taking donations for the beer, $5 donations for the beer. So you go, absolutely, here's your $5. You take your beer and you think you're living large, man. You make your way over to the parade route, which is 103rd to 115th Street on Western Avenue. And debauchery ensues, and it was fantastic. That was the Southside Irish Parade up until it wasn't, when they shut it down. I don't even know how many years, 2018, 17, something like that. And then it was dry for a couple years. Then they brought it back, and it's back to what it used to be years and years ago. So I was lucky enough to interview a woman named Marianne Coakley, whose husband, Pat Coakley, I believe, started the Southside Irish Parade with his neighbor. They just wanted to do something. There used to be a parade, an Irish parade, further into the neighborhoods, like Auburn Gresham neighborhood, right? So I'm talking about Washtenaw, 108th Street in Washtenaw, which technically, my friends, is Morgan Park, not Beverly. But a lot of people say, oh, the parade started in Beverly and blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, now the parade does start in Beverly because it's at 103rd in Western, and it goes down 115th, which, ironically enough, you pass by Beverly Records, which happens to actually be in Morgan Park. So there you go. Technically Morgan Park. Anyhow, talked to this woman, and I've interviewed her a couple times over the years, Marianne. Fantastic Irish family. They started the parade, and she was kind enough to show me the original, like the cart that was a baby cart that she had for her son, and that was the buggy, I should say. It was like a buggy, and they decorated it with like cardboard, and they took it out on the parade for the first year. And I believe the first year parade ever was a little rainy because it's March, Chicago. And then I think either the following year or the year after, so this would be the third year perhaps, they put like what it looks like today, which you're seeing a little bit of the video if I'm putting this up. It's like more plywood painted green. They got the flags on top of it. It's just a cool thing. And it's so Chicago, man. It's one of my most favorite Chicago stories about how something got started. The Southside Irish Parade got started that way, and I don't know, I just love it. It was neighborhoods that just wanted to celebrate their Irish heritage, and everybody on that block, they all were from different parishes, and they all were at, I forgot the not Sabina, it wasn't Sabina, it was another parish. Some of them came from Little Flower, which is up in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, and they all wanted to celebrate their Irish heritage down in Morgan Park and Beverly. So they decided to, start it up. They did a parade on Washtenaw Avenue in the street over from it. I forgot the name of the street, but they made like a U. They started up Washtenaw, they went over to the side street and came back down, and then came back. They did it twice, and they invited, and it was all for kids. It was all the kids, all the parents were out watching their kids go by in the parade because the parents wanted their kids to know about their Irish heritage. And then they conclude the parade, and then they would all go back to one of the parents' houses where they had fruit punch and like crackers or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or whatever they were serving. I mean, this is, I believe, 1979-ish, 78 or somewhere in there, right? And that's how it started, on a block in the south side of Chicago. That's why I love it so much. So when this year, strangely enough, I was at a celebration of life for my friend's husband. And, I work for CBS during my day, and it was talked about people were doing that weekend, and the weather looked lousy for this entire weekend. Saturday, the day we're all at the celebration of life, it's actually nice out. It's sunny and warmish. But we all know that this doom weather is coming. And let me tell you, it was not great weather. But so I was like, the last thing I want to do is go to the Southside Irish Parade. You know what? I've done that before, been there in its heyday. And I'm not the last parade. Honestly, I think the last parade I was at was the World Series parade for the Cubs, like the last legit parade, because parade, when you see it in a parade, you've seen it once, seen them all, kind of the vibe, right? So everybody's talking. The station manager says, oh, what are you doing? Yada, yada. Oh, we're blah, blah, blah. And then I thought about it, like something just popped in my brain. I don't know what it was that we had our daughter who is 15 months old, so she doesn't really have a choice in the matter. But my other two, I knew they were going to go to a parade, and I also knew that they're going to be with their mom. So somebody said something, we're like, well, if you want to go to the parade, I think it was just talking about the weather, like the parade. And then somebody said, well, I'm like, who's on the parade? And not a lot of people were wanting to go out because of the weather, because it's a Sunday, all the things. And I don't know, just something popped in my head. And I'm like, well, maybe we'll take Willow Baby, that's the name of my daughter, and my wife was like, oh, I'd love to go. My wife loves these things. She's like, the things I find kind of cheesy sometimes, she's all about. And not because she's cheesy, but because she really trusts the adventure of life is the best way I can describe it. She's all about the adventure, about the experience. And I got to remember sometimes that I have had some amazing experiences and adventures. And a lot of times I don't want to do it again because I've seen it. Like when you see the Cubs World Series parade, when I think there were 2 million people at the parade, 5 million people at the celebration. You kind of seen the biggest parade that you probably will ever see in your life. And do you really need to go to another parade? Not really. So that's kind of where I was with parades. But that was before my daughter was born. So we're talking, and I'm like, maybe we should go to the Southside. You want to go? Yeah, you want to go? So she's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, are you sure? I mean, there's 400,000 people that go to this parade. It's huge. It's the second biggest parade in the world, the biggest parade outside of Dublin for St. Patrick's Day. It's on Western Avenue in Beverly and Morgan Park. You sure you want to go? Yeah, no, I want to go. Okay, all right. So I guess we're going to go. Maybe kind of a wink and a nod that maybe we'll go, and we're saying goodbye at her at the celebration of life. And then, we go home and we get the kids and we go-karting and all that stuff. And the whole time I'm doing all that, I'm thinking, are we really going to go to the parade tomorrow? I'm looking at the weather. The weather looks terrible. 100% chance of rain. So what's worse than being out in rain when you're out in rain at a parade where there's no bathrooms, which I will get to in a second, a surprise that there were. So we're looking at the weather that morning of. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to go to the damn parade. We got to leave like 10 o'clock. We got to get down there, got to get parking. So pack up the car, get Willow Baby all packed up. And I'm looking at the weather app, and I'm like, I don't know, man, this looks bad. I'm like, well, there might be a little break right when the parade starts. It might be like right at noon. So drive down to the south side, drive to Beverly. So for me, that's getting on 90, then getting through downtown, then getting on 57, then getting off. We got off at 105th, 11th, maybe we got off around there, somewhere around there. Yeah, we got off on 111th. And, you see Morgan Park Academy right there and, all that stuff. Then you're trying to figure out where to park. How do you get to the closest spot? So we were on the CBS parade float. Well, the dilemma is, where do you park your car? Do you park it at the end of the parade and then walk all the way up to the beginning? Do you park in the middle, or do you park at the beginning? Oh, and with a 15-month-old. So you have a stroller, it's raining, it's pouring, you're trying to think of all these things. So we came to the conclusion that we're going to park kind of like halfway. So it wasn't a full walk all the way back, but we didn't want to, we just didn't want to drive far. So we start getting closer to the parade route, and they're like, oh, we could park there, It only says we're a mile, so we're getting closer. And we're probably like about 3/4 of a mile away from where we need to meet, which is actually north of when the parade starts. And it is pouring rain, like sideways, gross, pouring rain. But I was like, you know what? Like, we got Willow Baby, who is like a little good luck charm. And I said, you know what? It's going to be fine. We're just going to wait. So I look at the weather app. It says it's going to stop raining in 47 minutes. So we waited until about when it said 37 minutes or 35 minutes. And we're like, you know what? Like, part of the directions on where to go and where to park and what you can do and what you can't do is that we stopped at a church. And that was like halfway point, and that's why we picked it. We picked a halfway point between the car, the church, as the halfway point, and where the beginning of the parade was. Because we figured by the time we get to this church, if it is raining, it'll be a nice little respite. Also, we have a 15-month-old, so she's going to need to be changed. I'm going to have to go to the bathroom, of course, because whenever I get nervous, I have to pee constantly, because that's just how my body works. So we go into the parade route. We get all the stuff out. It's raining pretty hard, even though we're getting, Willow Baby out and she's in the carrier, and I've got this giant backpack that is the stroller that I'm holding and all this stuff. And we start walking to this church, and we go into the church, and they were wonderful people. They, offered us snacks, hot coffee, hot chocolate, bathroom. They welcomed us to come back afterwards. So we gear up, we warm up a little bit, and then we make our way over to the parade float. And I'm not kidding. As we're walking the parade float, you see all of a sudden there's just people everywhere. Now, I know that the parade this year wasn't as crowded as years past because of the impending doom that was the weather system. Because not only is it supposed to rain on St. Patrick's Day, Southside Irish Parade Day, Sunday, I just made up that whole word. Sunday, the day before, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day, the following day, it was supposed to be blizzarding because the temperature was going to drop like 40 degrees. So everybody's kind of like, I don't know if I want to go. So anyhow, we're walking, and you see all these people start showing up. And of course, you see like me 20 years ago, walk into the parade, case of beer in hand, your solo cups in the other, because you're not supposed to drink at the parade, but they're better about it now, I will say. But a pleasant surprise, though, as you're walking to the parade, there's porta potties all over the neighborhood. So they finally got hip to the idea of like, you know what, if we're going to invite all these people and we know it's going to be crazy busy, you can't very well ask all of these businesses in the neighborhood to allow these people to go to the bathroom, because a lot of these people will come in, they won't even stop in for a beer. They're just going to use your facilities and leave. And then they're making wait for people who are actually there to, you enjoy the services of the restaurant. So I get it. And it was nice. The bathrooms are clean. So you make your way to the bathroom, blah, 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 you walk. So then you get up, and I'm not kidding. You get up to the parade route. You cross over on Western. We start walking up to where our parade float is. The sun comes out. And then it gets warm. It's like hot. We're like sweating. And I'm wearing this thing, and I have a full like winter jacket on and the whole thing. By the time we got to the float, we were drenched because we were sweating. And, all the people are out, the sun's shining, but the clouds are like pitch black all around us. You meet people from your work. We get Dillo Baby up on the float. She's waving and saying hi to everybody. We're waiting to go. You see people that you know from the station. You see people that you know from the city. You see other people that I know from WGN. It was a wonderful experience. Then the parade starts to go, and we're handing out, bracelets, and we're handing out the beads with the CBS logo on it, which looks just like this. I haven't have one right here, so look at that right there. Right, pretty cool. And the whole time I'm like, making sure the wife and kid are okay. And then I just realized this is fun, man. Have you ever been in a parade? It's a pretty good time. People waving at you, smiling, you're waving back. It's like great. People want stuff. You got stuff, you give them the stuff. It's fantastic. And, we're walking, we're enjoying our thing, and we're handing out people. People are waving hi. The older ladies are winking and smiling at you because you're winking and smiling at them because they're just happy that somebody's bringing them free stuff. It's just great. It's a good time. You look, you're handing out all that stuff to the kids, and then you look up at the parents. You're like, you want one? And, some parents are like, oh, yeah, sure. Then some parents are like, ah, sure, man. Because they are 3 sheets to the wind. They've been drinking since 8 o'clock that morning because they didn't think they were going to the parade because it was raining. So they're getting drunk in their garages. And 20 minutes ago, they decided to come to the parade, half in the bag with the kids because the kids begged the parents to go. So that's what you're seeing up and down the thing. And there's, I don't know, over 100 floats in this parade. The parade starts at noon. We didn't even start moving where we were until 12:30. That's how long the parade is. That's how long it takes to go. But you're doing the thing and you're waving, you're having a good time. And then the skies open up and it pours. And you think people would scurry away because it's raining. No, man, it's Southside Chicago. Everybody was enjoying it. Everybody's waving up their hands. People are more excited. We're just into it. We're soaked, but we're running, because then all of a sudden when the weather turns, it got really windy. I gave my daughter my heavy jacket, or my wife my heavy jacket, and she had like kind of cocooned Willow Baby so she wasn't getting soaked. But, we're running up and down the parade route, and then we notice, you're handing out beads to people, and of course these beads, those stinking beads, they get tangled, right? They're a tangled mess. So you're trying to untangle them, give them to people, and you're doing this thing. All of a sudden you look, and your parade float is like almost a block away from you, and you're like, crap. So now you got to run up, catch up to the parade float, because the parade, all of a sudden, when it started to pour, everybody's like, we got to get this over with, because if it's lightning and thundering, we're going to have to stop the parade in the middle of the parade, and get all these people out of here. So they sped up the parade considerably, which made it more fun, kind of, because you run back to the parade and you're doing this and you're doing that. You're saying hi to the people, and then you go, and I'm not kidding you. I haven't been in a parade in my entire, the first parade that I ever was in is the only one I have ever actually technically been in. And that was Stagg High School's 1998 Homecoming Day Parade, where we started at 95th Street, right outside the Jewel, and just north of Conrad. He went all the way to 111th and Stagg High School. And, that was the only parade I was ever in, and it was a fun parade because my best friend and I, Timmy, we were DJing the parade. Wasn't DJing this year, but we were on the parade float. So I remember to like hop up on the parade float and enjoy that part of it too, waving at people. And after a while, you're like, I don't know why I'm waving. Like, they don't know me. I don't have anything to give them. But people were just happy, and they were just waving. They were just enjoying. It was just nice. It was a change of pace of everybody just being happy to be somewhere just for the sake of being there and saying hi and not really expecting any free stuff, even though they were giving out, like, some people were giving out candy and some people were giving out this and that and all these other things. It was just a good time. It was the best of Chicago. That's the best I can say. And as you're on the parade float, you don't even think about, maybe I'll see somebody I know, but in the back of your mind, you go to the south side of the city and you're a south sider, you always think you're going to run into somebody you went to high school with. And sure shit, I hear Tommy, and I'm on the actual float waving. And then I look, and it's my buddy Daryl, who I've talked about before on a time or two on this thing. It's his wife. And she's screaming my name, Tommy. And it happens to be her birthday. So shout out Amy Claiborne. Happy birthday. And I jump off the float, run past like my bosses. I'm like, sorry, I got to go say hi to this person, and run into the crowd and give her a big old bear hug just to say hi to her. And then I'm like, I got to go because the float's leaving me. But, it was good to see you. It was the first time I've seen Amy in a long time. Get back on the float, do her thing. It made my whole day, right? Then all of a sudden I hear Tom Barnas. I'm like, who? What? And then I look, and it's a woman named Jill Egan. And Jill was at the first ever radio station that I got paid money to be had in Chicago. It was called 94.7 The Zone, and Jill was on a show called the Brooke and Jill Morning Show. But the OG version of that show was at night. It was Brooke and Jill at night in the evenings. It was two women on at night, and then they became the first two women morning show in the history of Chicago radio. And I was their producer. I was, I wasn't the executive producer. I was like the phone guy that answered the phones and put bits together and clips. And I was the man on the street and I did all those things. But there's Jill. And I just was like, "What's up, Jill?" And I was like, I pointed at her, and I was just like, it was one of those pinch me moments of like, Chicago's so big, but yet so small. And that is what it's like to be from Chicago. It's to realize it's so big and there's so much to our city, yet it's so small. Because it's the people that make up our city that make it wonderful, that make it feel small. It makes you feel like it's just a small neighborhood within neighborhoods. And that's kind of like it's, that's its reputation, neighborhoods within neighborhoods of a big city. I don't know. It was a wonderful moment, and I'm really glad that I went. I can remember I kept looking over at my wife. I'm like, that was a lot of fun. It was amazing. It was a good time. And the parade goes past 111th, which is like my old stomping grounds. I grew up around there. I went on dates out there and met friends out there, plenty of softball out there. And you go past 111th, you get to 115th, that's where the parade ends. So you hop off, and my only complaint about the entire experience, because the rain, you knew you're getting yourself into, you can't complain about something you know you're getting yourself into, is that Beverly Records was closed, man. I was looking forward to going in there, taking my daughter inside Beverly Records to show her the same record store that is on Chicago South Side that has been there for years. Started off like, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it started off as like a pharmacy or like a store, just where you can get candy or you can get cards, a card store, and they sold records on the side. And then they realized, oh, this record business is really good. And funny enough, that this record store technically started by a woman, which was very rare back then, especially a music store on the Chicago South Side. But it's been running and humming ever since. It hasn't closed one day. So they were closed for the parade. And I was like, oh man, what the hell? And then I thought about it. I'm like, probably don't want hordes of people coming into their music store and then ripping them off, because that's probably what, or it was a pain in the ass and get down there and nobody was going to the record store. So why bother even opening? But either way, it was fantastic. We had a great time. We walked back to our car, which took us like 15 minutes. Wasn't a big deal. We had the stroller all the way back home. We're driving home and we're starving. No, you've been outside all day. So what do? We get Portillo's. Very Chicago of us. Stop off on the Addison Portillo's right there in Lake, Avondale, and go home and have ourselves an evening. And it was great. And that, my friends, was St. Patrick's Day for me. Although the parade actually is Sunday, I'm recording this on St. Patrick's Day. So I'm wearing what I wore for the parade because it's St. Patrick's Day. So either way, thanks for listening to this episode of Stoop. Subscribe if you like. Go over to the website, Stories from the 78, and that will get you a lot of the stories and interviews that I talk with people about all things Chicago or other things. It doesn't really matter. And and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you would. That's storiesfrom78.com or this one that you're watching here on the Stoop. Until then, my friends, have a great St. Patrick's Day. We'll see you later.